George Terwilliger, his main attorney on the right side in the red tie, Aaron Schock on the left, bearded, about to speak. We expect that he is going to say that this case is concluding and that it's dragged on for more than 4 years. Here is the former congressman from Peoria, Aaron Schock. He's waited for this day since the day he was charged.
Y'all ready? Okay. 4 years ago, I left office among a lot of media flurry that I said then was overblown and unjustified. But I said then what I said today in court, which was my office and I could have done a better job in the administrative functions at the back end of our office. I attempted then, as I've attempted now, to make restitution for those mistakes. But there's a difference between mistakes and crimes. And I've said from the beginning that there was never an attempt by me or my staff to commit crimes. And obviously, I'm thankful to the Northern District, who did the right thing today, who did what they told the judge they would do 6 months ago, which was a fair evaluation of the indictment with the facts, and they came to a just resolution to dismiss the indictment in its entirety in all 24 felony counts. I do feel like I've been wronged in this process by a prosecutor who saw me as his ticket to stardom and who was allowed to go unchecked for many years at great expense to me personally, my family and friends, and yes, the taxpayers. I think it's unfortunate that he's not been held to account, and I think the question that begs is, how did this go on for so long? Having said that, I've learned a lot in the process, and you know, I'm reminded of Edmund Burke, the famous British parliamentarian, who once said, "He who wrestles with you strengthens you." And so I'm focused on the future, not the past, and I would say that through this very tough 4 years of my life, I have been strengthened mentally, spiritually, physically, through this process, and I have to focus on the positive of that and the future that lies ahead for me now that this is behind me. I also want to thank my attorney, who's stuck with me from the beginning, who believed in my innocence from the very beginning, and who fought the government all along because he believed in my innocence and the cause of justice. And I shudder to think of those Americans who don't have great lawyers like I had at my disposal, who get ground up in a system when there is a rogue prosecutor and they can't push back. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to George Terwilliger and his team at McGuire Woods, Christina Egan, who's based here in Chicago, and a host of other attorneys in D.C. who helped me fight this battle to victory here today.
So that's the crux of what Aaron Schock wanted to make. His attorney is going to talk a little bit more about how they believe this case was never justified by the facts or by the methods that the prosecutor and the FBI used. Whether they will take from this day on and press to have some kind of an investigation as to how all this came down is unclear, because one of the things that Aaron Schock will have to do is continue to say that he did these things, and you saw a very repentant ex-congressman there, sounding at one point a little bit like Rod Blagojevich did. Blagojevich quoting Shakespeare, Schock quoting Edmund Burke, but philosophizing before the microphones after what has been an ordeal for him. He touched on the future but didn't talk about any specifics. I'm presuming here in a moment that there will be questions about that, although it may be too early for him to talk about what his political plans are, if any. So a major development in the Schock case today, a big blow to the government. They don't drop cases like this. That's essentially what has happened here. and it usually does not happen. The government takes cases that they know they can win at prosecution. They obviously thought they could win this one when it was being handled by downstate prosecutors from the Central District of Illinois. It was a miscalculation when it was transferred to the Northern District of Illinois. Obviously, fresh eyes took a different approach, and we ended up with where we are today, with at least a plan for the felony charges against Schock to be set aside, dismissed essentially, and a new misdemeanor charge against only his campaign, leaving him largely with a clean bill of health when all of this is over.
Well, Chuck, he was visibly emotional and I might say relieved at the microphone. Schock saying that he was wronged by this process. Do we have any indication that the process was in fact flawed somewhere along the way? Well,
if you read the documents, Tanya, that his team has filed over the years, I mean, they give a very damning account of how the government went after him, the way they executed search warrants, the way that they put witnesses before the grand jury, the kinds of questions about Schock's sexual life that they put to people that had nothing to do with the charges against him. It was what they believed to be strong-arm tactics laid out in documents that they believed had no place in the way that the government prosecutes a case. Again, whether any of that goes anywhere may be unlikely, because in order for all of this to work, Schock has to admit his wrongdoing, pay $150,000, cooperate with the IRS to get out from underneath it. I doubt that a part of that equation would be he's going to pursue some kind of a case against the government, whether that is a legal case or in public.
Hey, if you like that video, be sure to subscribe to our ABC7 Chicago YouTube channel.